I almost destroyed my own YouTube growth by following all the right advice. While I was busy checking all the boxes the gurus told me to, I was actually making critical mistakes that killed my growth. The moment I stopped doing these things, I went from completely stuck to 20,000 subscribers in just 6 months. If you're plateaued right now and nothing's working, you're probably making at least 3 of these same mistakes. These aren't feel-good tips. These are the 28 brutal mistakes that kept me trapped and the harsh lessons that finally changed everything. Mistake number 1. I thought consistency meant never missing a post. I was killing myself trying to maintain this perfect schedule, posting every single week without fail. Then I burned out completely and didn't post for an entire year. How's that for consistency? Building a YouTube channel isn't a sprint where you run until you collapse. It's more like training for a marathon, where showing up matters more than speed. What I learned is that consistency isn't about posting on a schedule. It's about showing up over and over for a long period of time and making incremental improvements. Better to post twice a month sustainably than weekly until you quit. The mistake was confusing perfection with consistency. Mistake number 2. I thought I understood my niche because I was making content for creators, but that was too broad. I wasn't building any momentum because every piece of content I made spoke to a different person with a different problem. When I moved from content creation in general to YouTube specifically, I began to grow. If someone sees something from you and it breaks their expectations, you failed. I had to get laser focused on one person with one problem. The mistake was being too broad instead of laser focused. Mistake number 3. I was getting overwhelmed by planning too many things and trying to map out every step in advance. I'd spend hours creating elaborate strategies when I should have just been making more videos. No plan survives contact with the audience. All I can do is do the best I can and share my experience and offer value where I can. Keep it simple, share what you know, help where you can, and then let everything else evolve naturally. The mistake was overcomplicating instead of keeping it simple. Speaking of keeping things simple, let me quickly tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Nexus Clips. Here's the brutal truth. If you're not creating short-form content, you're literally watching your potential audience scroll past you to other creators. I was stuck at 8,000 subs for months while watching creators half my size explode past me because they were leveraging shorts for discovery, and I wasn't. I know I need consistent short-form content, but editing them manually is pure torture. That's why Nexus Clips has completely simplified my workflow. I upload my long-form video and its AI automatically identifies the most engaging segments, converts them to perfect vertical format, and adds animated subtitles that actually sync properly. What used to drain 3 hours of my life now happens in 7 minutes with just a few clicks. I can create 10 high-quality shorts from one video, and I'm building up a library right now to start posting consistently. Other creators who post consistently see a 50% subscriber growth in just 2 months with this strategy. This tool has made short-form content creation as simple as uploading a video. It has become as indispensable as my editing software. Head to nexusclips.com and use code DAVE for 10% off. Mistake number 4. Every new productivity video became my new system. I watched an hour-long video about how to leverage ManyChat to automate DMs for Instagram, and I was like this close to uprooting my entire content strategy just to jump on that opportunity. I've heard that LinkedIn might be the best platform right now for how rapidly it's growing and how uncrowded it is, and I want to leverage that, but my bandwidth is capped out right now. I'm building the skills and the workflow to do YouTube to the best that I can, because that's what really moves the needle for the goals that I've set. I realized I needed to be careful to focus on the things that actually impact growth, because not all advice is good advice for your unique situation. Pick one system and stick with it long enough to see if it actually works. The mistake was chasing every shiny new strategy. Mistake 5. I thought I could just post stuff and the almighty algorithm would just automatically send it out and see who it works with. But if your content isn't good enough, it'll give up on you. And it builds up slowly, sometimes only paying attention to every 3rd or 4th video. Quality has to come first, always. The mistake was expecting the algorithm to promote everything. Mistake 6. I thought I had to be on when I recorded. High energy, perfect delivery, never mess up. I was constantly trying to amp myself up and perform instead of just being myself. I was exhausting myself, and the content felt fake because it wasn't authentic to who I am. I'm still making these mistakes sometimes, and constantly trying to remind myself to slow down and speak in a more conversational tone. Your audience connects with authenticity, not performance. The mistake was performing instead of being me. Mistake 7. I'd get excited when a video had a high click-through rate, and then I'd think, this must be good. But when you only have 200 views, it means pretty much nothing. The data set is too small to mean anything. Early on the day that I would upload a video, I'd spend the entire day refreshing my analytics page, fretting and dreaming about how it was received, watching it like a hawk. What a complete waste of time. Now I spend that time preparing for the next video, so I can make it to the best of my ability. YouTube operates at scale, and metrics don't matter until you're also operating at scale. The mistake was obsessing over meaninglessly small sample sizes. Learning to ignore vanity metrics and focus on what actually moves the needle, that's the kind of mindset shift that changed everything for me. And honestly, these deeper insights about the creator journey are exactly what I dig into deeper in my newsletter, Boundless Creator. It's for serious YouTubers who want more than just surface level tips. I'll drop a link below if you want the real stuff. Mistake 8. I was treating each video like it was its own isolated thing instead of thinking about it like building a catalog. Think of your content like building a library, not writing random notes. Each piece of content should build on the last, creating this cohesive body of work that reinforces your expertise and helps your audience get to know you a little bit better. When you think about it as building something bigger, every upload becomes more strategic. The mistake was creating isolated videos instead of building a catalog. Mistake 9. I would make every video a massive production because I thought that's what quality content meant. I learned this lesson the hard way when I posted my content strategy video that was over 20 minutes long, took me 4 times as long to edit, and it released to crickets. I simply couldn't keep making content that way and grow as quickly as I wanted. I learned that I needed low overhead videos to build up the bandwidth so that I could do a deeper technical video from time to time. The mistake was overproducing instead of staying consistent. Mistake 10. I was creating decision fatigue by presenting too many options in my call to action. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out this other video, join my newsletter. When you give people too many choices at once, they choose nothing. If it's just this or that, it's much more realistic that someone will act. Keep your CTAs focused and simple. The mistake was overwhelming viewers with too many choices. Like this, watch. Could you please hit the like button for me? I know that you hear this a lot, but it actually helps more than you know. See? Just one choice at a time. Do it or don't. Mistake number 11. I made the mistake of assuming I was talking to people who watched every single thing that I do and know it inside and out. I thought people watched in chronological order and remembered everything from my previous videos. That's just silly. Each video is someone's first time seeing you, so you need to make sure that it makes sense as a standalone piece without relying on context from the other content. The mistake was assuming viewers knew my previous content. Mistake number 12. I spent weeks working on a website that I'll end up throwing away because I was preparing for some hypothetical future scenario. I learned to only make things as I need them. Preparing things for the what-if scenario is backwards. You don't know what you'll actually need until you need it, so stop building for problems you don't have yet. The mistake was building for imaginary future problems. Mistake number 13. I focused so hard on all the details, the perfect thumbnail, the exact right keyword, the optimal posting time, that I would often forget the fundamentals. For my 28 things I wish I knew before I started a YouTube video, I was so preoccupied with the format and emulating what I saw from others that I forgot one of the key lessons that I had learned over a year ago about how leading with the answer and then explaining it afterwards is backwards. At the end of the day, people watch YouTube to be entertained, educated, or inspired. Share your relatable story and help people who are going through the same thing that you went through. The mistake was getting lost in the details and forgetting the fundamentals. Mistake number 14. I was making content based on what I thought was valuable, instead of actually asking my audience what they needed help with. I was assuming that I knew what problems they had and how to solve them. But you know what they say about assuming. Actually ask your viewers what they're struggling with. How can you best serve them if you don't even ask? The mistake was I assumed instead of asking. Mistake number 15. I spent hours filming only to discover that my audio cord wasn't plugged in all the way. Completely unusable footage. Now I do a quick test before filming to prevent hours of wasted work. The mistake was not double checking my audio before recording. Mistake 16. I spent days creating my own Python script to help me collect and score keywords for my own videos. I'm super proud of it, but it definitely wasn't the best use of my time spending a week on that project. I have spent time on things that I felt were important, but actually weren't moving me forward. I call it efficient procrastination. It took me too long to realize that the most efficient way was to create a system that I could follow and then just do it. Focus on making good content that serves your audience. Everything else is just busy work dressed up as productivity. The mistake was spending time on busy work disguised as productivity. Mistake 17. I tried to lean into the tough love side of things because I thought it would perform better and help me stand out. When I made my video, making great content isn't enough, I was trying to copy what worked for someone else instead of being authentic to who I am. I don't naturally come off that way, so those videos would start stern and then end up being encouraging and nice because that's who I actually am. I was naturally undercutting my own message by trying to be someone I'm not. Authenticity beats persona when you try to create. The mistake was trying to be someone I'm not. Mistake 18. That same video taught me another brutal lesson about the sunk cost fallacy. When making great content isn't enough didn't perform well, I spent weeks redoing the thumbnail and title over and over again, trying to force it to work. I could have made so much more progress on my next video, but instead I was eating up all my mental bandwidth on something nobody cared about. The algorithm had already moved on. Sometimes it's okay to throw something away and move on to the next video with the lessons that you learned. You still earned and grew by doing the work in the first place. But beyond that, some videos just can't be saved. The mistake was falling victim to the sunk cost fallacy. Mistake 19. I was doing so much more work than I needed to because I never repurposed content. I'm still making this mistake, honestly. I could post more often if I had a system in place for taking one piece of content and turning it into multiple formats. One video could become multiple community posts, or a newsletter, or an Instagram carousel. But instead, I'm creating everything from scratch every single time. The mistake is never repurposing content. Mistake 20. I thought short-form content was beneath long-form content, like it was somehow inferior or less valuable. I ignored it completely because I had this ego about being a serious creator who made real videos. But every format has its place and audience, and short-form can actually drive people to your long-form content. The mistake was letting ego dismiss opportunities. Mistake number 21. I was thinking that because it was my unique take on a topic, that it would automatically be worth viewing. I thought that my perspective was so special and different that people would naturally gravitate toward it. But people want safe, proven value. They want to know that if they invest their time in your content, they're going to get something useful out of it. Your unique perspective matters, but it has to be built on the foundation of genuine value. The mistake was thinking my perspective was automatically valuable. Mistake number 22. I thought making a search video every once in a while was a good strategy to get discovered, but search is really not what it used to be. The algorithm has moved on from that. Search now gives results based on your previously viewed videos, so it's a dead strategy for growth. You're better off focusing on browse features and getting your content suggested alongside other videos your audience is already watching. Mistake number 23. I just assumed people would subscribe without me asking them to. I thought if the content was good enough, they'd naturally hit the subscribe button. And some do, but that's not how it works for most. You have to ask for what you want. Ask for the subscription, ask for the like, ask for whatever action you want them to take. It doesn't hurt to bring it to their attention. The mistake was not asking viewers to help out. Mistake number 24. I thought I was doubling down on what works, but I wasn't really analyzing why certain videos performed well. Growing on YouTube is like learning to throw darts. You're not trying to hit a bullseye every time. You're learning to aim better. Figuring out why something did well is an art, but you can shortcut it by copying the transcript of your successful video and all of its comments into AI, then asking it why it performed as well as it did. Check that against your assumptions and then run an experiment. Does your next video work better or worse based on what you thought would happen? Each upload is another chance to narrow down your course until it becomes laser focused. The mistake was not really understanding what worked. Mistake number 25. I made the mistake of thinking I needed a handful of videos ready to post quickly to build momentum. Sure, in a vacuum that makes sense. Having content ready should help you stay consistent. But it doesn't make sense from a motivation side of things, at least not for everyone. Sometimes having all that content sitting there waiting actually kills your drive to create new stuff. You lose that urgency and excitement that comes from creating something fresh for your audience. The mistake was optimizing for momentum when it actually hurt my motivation. Mistake 26. I would read a single negative comment and then let it completely overshadow the 400 positive ones I had received on the same video. I remember one time I read a negative comment and then I decided that I wanted to respond to that person because it felt like they had misunderstood me. I spent 45 minutes crafting the response, and the moment I hit send, I realized how much time I'd wasted trying to defend myself when I know logically that it's impossible to please everyone. My content isn't going to be for everyone, and it definitely wasn't meant for that person. I'm happy to say that I haven't made this mistake since. The mistake was reading one negative comment and ignoring all the positive feedback. Mistake 27. I would get frustrated when I had a day where I would sit down to do creative work and then ended up with nothing meaningful to show for it. But the truth is, you can't always force creative work. Think of creativity like planting a garden. You can't force the seeds to grow faster. You could just create the right conditions and trust the process. It takes time for your brain to work through things, and that processing time isn't wasted. You still need to do that thinking. Sometimes the best thing you can do is trust the process and know that not every creative session will result in finished work. The mistake was trying to force creativity on demand. Mistake 28. I missed a newsletter post 1 week. It completely slipped my mind and I was devastated. But not a single person said anything. I was creating all this pressure in my own head that didn't even actually exist. Nobody is paying close enough attention to notice when you miss a self-imposed deadline. The mistake was creating imaginary pressure. And you made it through. I hope you know what to look out for now. These 28 mistakes cost me months of spinning my wheels. But here's the thing. I had to make them to learn from them. The question is, which ones are you making right now? Now that you understand what not to do on YouTube, you're probably wondering what you should be doing to actually grow. I've got another video where I break down the brutal truths about what it really takes to succeed on this platform, the harsh realities that most creators refuse to face. Watch this next so you stop wasting time on what doesn't work and start focusing on what actually drives real growth.